Hello class, this is a video tutorial on solving inequalities. The first thing we should just know is that inequalities are very similar to equations. So here's an example of an equation. 3x plus 7 equals 13. So this is an equation. By the way, it's called an equation because it uses an equals sign. Inequalities are very similar, except instead of the equals symbol, we use the inequality symbols. So this is greater than, this symbol here is less than, and this symbol here is greater or equal to, and this symbol here is less than or equal to. And I'll just write a good example here. So if I were just to take this symbol here, this equation here, and just change it into 3x plus 7 is greater than 13. That there is an inequality using this symbol. Or I can use the exact same expression but just change the inequality, and it just has a whole different meaning. And finally, just to get the example going, 3x plus 7 is greater than or equal to 13, and finally we have 3x plus 7 is less than or equal to 13. So these here, using these symbols, are called inequalities. Before we continue into actually solving them, we need to first learn that we should learn how to graph inequalities. So let's say we get a solution. By the way, these solutions can be anything. It can be x is greater than 3, or x is greater than 4, x is greater than -5, and so on. But so I want you to understand that these numbers that I'm going to show you can be replaced with anything. But for these examples, I'm just going to take a look at the numbers that I've given. So the first thing is the greater than or less than. And if you take a look, all it means is you take a number line, you draw one, give it the values, -1 or whatever is appropriate, and then put a open dot above the answer that we're given. So let's say we get a inequality and we get this solution. All we do is have an open dot and draw, pointing to the right, an arrow, because it's pointing to the right. It's greater than 2. Same thing with this. This time it's just pointing to the left. So if x is less than 2, you put an open dot over the number 2. You draw an arrow pointing left. And very similarly, if we have these symbols, x is greater than or equal to 3, we have this time a solid dot over the number 3 pointing to the right. And this one here, same thing, except with a solid dot over the 3 pointing to the left. Okay, so now let's move on to actually solving inequalities. Now, the first thing that we have to know is that whenever dividing or multiplying by a negative, switch the direction of the inequality. So by that, let's take a look at this example here. Normally, if we had this as, put above, -3x is equal to 9, to solve this, we would divide by -3. But since this is an inequality, we have to switch the direction of that inequality. So take a look. -3x divided by -3 gives us x. But if you take a look at that symbol here, the inequality, it's pointing to the right. So this is -3x is greater than 9. Since we divided by a negative, it is now facing left. 9 divided by -3, sorry, that should be a -3. Similarly, let's say we had -x is less than or equal to 2, but we don't want -x, we want positive x. So all I did there was multiply by -1 to give me a positive x. And since we multiplied by a negative, we have to switch the direction of that symbol. And we just applied the operation to the right hand. So 2 times -1 is -2. Let's get straight into some inequality solving. If you can already solve equations, you can solve inequalities. So let's take a look at this one. Subtracting 3 on both sides will give us x is greater than 2. And all of our solutions need some sort of graph, so I'm just quickly draw a rough sketch here. There we go. We'll make this 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is a greater than 2, not equal, so this will be an open dot over the 2, pointing to the right, so we'll make this one point to the right. Same thing, we keep going. This one is -2, so the inverse is adding 2, which will give us x is less than or equal to 5. Once again, getting a quick sketch in here. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Zero, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Less than or equal to 5. So this is going to be a solid dot. Pointing to the left. Once again, we'll just keep on going here. This one here, it's 3 times x, so the inverse is dividing by 3, which will give me x is greater than or equal to 6. I'm going to drop down here below it. I'm just going to draw a little arrow to show my drawing. This time I'd like to go up by 2s just to make it a little bit easier. 0, 2, 4, 6, 8. Zero, 2, 4, 6, 8. Greater than or equal to, so this is going to be a solid dot pointing to the right. One last one here. You take a look, this is divide by 3, so it's going to be multiply by 3 on both sides, which gives me x is less than -6. And for this last one here, we'll go ahead and draw it. 0, 2, 4, 6, 8. 2, 0, -2, -4, -6, -8. And then once again, -6. This time it's not equal to, so we're going to leave this as an open dot facing left. And that there's the first line of work. Hope you could follow with that. You could pause and rewind whenever you like. But what I'd like to go into are these ones here. Now if we take a look, for this one we'd have to expand the brackets first. We get 2x plus 6 is greater than or equal to 12. Subtracting 6, we get 2x is greater than or equal to 6. X is greater than or equal to 3. Really quick sketch now. I'm not even going to grab my ruler for this. Zero, 2, 4, 6, 8. 3 is about in the middle here. It is equal to, so it's going to be a solid dot facing to the right. Now let's take a look here. This is multiplying by 5 first, so we get 4 minus x is less than 10. Subtracting 4, we get negative x is less than 6. Now we want a positive x, so I'm going to divide by negative 1. X, so it's 6 divided by negative 1 is negative 6. But since we're dividing by negative, we have to switch the symbol here. Okay, I will explain in another video why we do that, but for now, please just accept that that's how it must happen. So we'll go once again, very quick sketch. Zero, 2, 4, 6, 8. And then this one here is going to be an open dot to the right. And the one last one here. Take a look. Expanding the brackets, we get 6 minus 4x is less than or equal to 2. Subtracting 6 gives me negative 4x is less than or equal to negative 4. Dividing by negative 4, we get positive x is greater than or equal to 1. Draw my last line here. That's going to be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, greater than or equal to, so it's going to be a solid dot to the right. And this here concludes how to solve inequalities and graphing them as well. Best of luck to you all.